Protein tier list for South Asians from God tier to poor tier. Let's have a look. Yogurt, if you get a low fat variation, has high protein, low fat, low calories. So protein to calorie ratio is really, really perfect. And I would definitely say that is God tier for veggie and non-veggie people. Eggs, okay, for non-veggies, that's going to be really perfect. 12 to 15 grams of protein per 3 eggs, but the calories do kind of rack up. So the protein to calorie ratio is not always in the favorable. That's why I'm going to put it in the great section, because it gives you great protein. It's great most breakfasts, has great breakfast options, but isn't always amazing. Egg whites go into the God tier of protein lists for South Asians if they're non-veg, because ultimately it's just pure protein. Now, when you make it taste good and have some variations of sauces, seasonings, you put it with different things, super low calorie, super high protein, and you can make it versatile into pancakes, into an omelette. You can do everything with them. Nuts, from a protein perspective, are super, super poor. So they definitely go in the poor section. Doesn't matter whether they're cashews, almonds, macadamians. From a calorie perspective, super high with low protein, is that they're just not really worth counting them as a protein source. Peanut butter, well, yeah, I mean, they're part of nuts, so doing the same thing. I don't even know why it's on here, but peanut butter is the same as nuts. Yes, it tastes nicer, but you can also overconsume it massive in calories. It just isn't going to work for protein. Soya chunks, I'm going to put this in the great tier. I think as a veggie, they get bad rap. You're not going to get tits if you eat soy. It's just old school wives' tales. They're a great protein source. You can very, very versatile, air fryer, curries, everything you want with them. They're just not God tier because some of them come as a high fat source, so the calories can be kind of higher. But if you get low fat or low calorie soy chunks, they can be a really good protein source for veggies who struggle to get it in with their veggie curries. You can just add soy chunks on top and it'd be perfect. Turkey, non-veg, I think it's an average source, not from the protein perspective. Protein wise, it's amazing. It's probably God tier, it's there, but just the sheer fact that turkey's dry, it doesn't really go with anything, and I just don't see it working very well unless you get a turkey and cheese sandwich. It goes in the average tier because of how it tastes rather than protein quality. Chickpeas and lentils, if we're looking at protein tiers only, this goes down as a very average to poor. Now, it's not as poor as nuts or peanut butter because you do actually get more protein. Lentils and chickpeas don't really have that much leucine in to create anabolic responses, which means that from a protein perspective, what you're eating protein for to gain muscle recovery, it doesn't do that. Yes, it has protein, but it doesn't do those things. So it goes in the poor section for me. But most importantly, you can have it when you're dieting, and I really encourage you, even though it's poor in the protein, it's great to have if your family are cooking it, and it allows you to stick on a diet for longer because not every day needs to be optimal. Paneer, which is my favorite from a protein perspective, just because of the taste. It does go in the great section, but if it's a low fat variation of paneer, it will do really, really well for your protein, 200-300 calories for around about 15 to 20 grams of protein. However, if you get high fat, you're eating it out, it's not going to look the same way. Super high calories, not that much protein because it's the high fat variation, but it is an overall veg protein source like dairy that can be versatile and used quite a lot. So it goes in the great section for me, just because I have an affinity to paneer. Essential amino acids or EAA supplements, I think if you're a veggie that doesn't have lots of protein sources like soy chunks or paneer or dairy, amino acids are going to be up there in terms of like God tier, because if you're not getting leucine into your diet, you're not going to build muscle tissue. So if you're a veggie who eats a lot of rajma, lentils, veggie curries, you're not going to get the right amount. So you having EAAs allows you to get those gains. For anyone else, as long as you're hitting your protein with soy chunks, dairy, chicken, turkey, you're not going to need it that much as long as you're hitting the targets. It goes in the great tier for the non-veggies and veggies to kind of hold it together. Chicken breast, because of its leanness, because of its low calorie, with also its super high protein, it goes God tier. And it's so versatile. You can have it in curries, you can have it grilled, you can have it marinated, you can have it on the side of salads. It does so much right now and is so versatile. So I definitely recommend it's God tier for low calorie, high protein sources for South Asians. And protein bars. It's going to go in the average for me, not because protein bars aren't great, but because the amount of marketing that goes into protein bars right now and the amounts that are shit, it leaves it as average. If you want protein bars to become God tier, grenade, soy-based proteins, dairy-based proteins, none of this protein that comes from peanuts or other variations, it has to come from dairy or soy to be effective for it to be put in the God tier. If it's one of those Nature Valley bars that are 12 grams of protein, it doesn't come from real good protein, so it goes straight into that bang average.